Rob, so good to see you, the all-round superstar in the creator economy and TikTok hero. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. You could have said TikTok LinkedIn hero, LinkedIn influencer.
And you've previously said you want to make a TikTok, not just an ad. So can you explain a bit about what you mean by that, the sense of that, and why brands shouldn't be afraid to let their creators do the same?
This is something that I've been talking about for 5 years, really, that we're making TikToks, we're not making ads. And actually, I've heard TikTok talk about this a lot more again recently, that we often, because TikTok is a discovery platform, it's an opportunity. The algorithm allows people to discover your brand, and we're an entertainment platform. I say we, TikTok is an entertainment platform. So you need to be creating content with a creator that does all those things, which is why you're working with a creator. And I also think now as we've TikTok is sort of 7, 8 years old, we're actually getting to a point now where brands are following trends. They're kind of seeing what works, what doesn't work. And there's a real danger that a lot of brands are making TikToks now, working with creators, and they are making TikToks. They're not making ads, but they're following trends. They're not creating anything original. They're creating what they've seen works well, which is great as an entry-level brand. But some brands, you need to be doing stuff that's original, that's special. And I think sometimes that is working with a creator you would never normally work with. But you see they do something that's a little bit different, a little bit special with their storytelling. It's like, give them the brief. They're the ones who are going to do something that's going to make you go, wow, we're doing something special now.
How can brands be more agile when working with creators?
It has got a lot better. I think it used to really get in the way of the creativity. So you used to have legal come and you can't do this, you can't do that. I'd get a brief from a brand and the guideline book was like that. This was before you could throw it into AI to read it. And it's like, well, this is not the world we work in anymore. We need to, you need to have a very specific, don't just use your traditional marketing guidelines. You need a TikTok specific guidelines. You need a LinkedIn specific guidelines. Don't just have a social specific guidelines. And then they should all be very different. They should all have a different tone. They should have different ways of having, getting your messaging across. When do you bring the brand in? But I think brands need to be more agile. Brands and clients need to take more risks. I think that so many brands now are doing really well in social, that it's not just being first now. It's not just moving quickest. I think you need to be more original than that now, and that's where working with creators actually earlier on is the new thing I'm seeing.
For brands that are just courting creators, would you advocate a one-post stand or building a longer-term relationship?
Absolutely, deeper partnerships, 100%. Because you can't just use an agency once and then walk away. It's like, this is something that you grow. So whenever I pick up a new brief, I want a proper onboarding. I want to feel like I'm part of the team, and I think that should be something that takes like 3 or 4 hours almost sometimes. But saying that, when I work with Workday at the minute, it's quite a long-term partnership, telling their stories. They've got so many different ways in, and I've got different ways I want to tell their stories. I couldn't do it with one sketch. And sometimes, but I will say this, if you're a brand and you're thinking, well, it's okay to call something a pilot and maybe work with some wilder creators one time to prove that case to your boss, then do that as well. So I think, when you come to social strategy or you're doing some pitching for a brand, I think, yes, look at 1 or 2 creators to really bring that campaign to life over a long-term partnership. It could be 3 sketches, it could be 6 months, it could be a year. But at the same time, I think, well, let's look at how we can use sort of 4 or 5 creators and maybe don't have such a bigger platform number of followers, but still getting good numbers. Let's use them one-off to tell a little bit of their story, and that you'll learn so much from that. And I think you'll find that it'll be those one creators who win you the awards because they've done something a little bit special.
Yeah. Now, you're someone that lives and breathes authenticity. So if a brand wanted to suffocate that, how would they go about it?
It's a very good question. So they would just keep fiddling with my concept. So I always come up with, so the way I work is I get a brief, I'll work with the client on the brief, I go, okay, this is what we're trying to land. I'll then come back with 3 or 4 concepts. If they want one sketch, I'll come back with 3 or 4 ideas, and they'll pick one from that traditionally. But what happens is I'll go off, I'll script up, they'll go, this is great, but actually then it starts to hit if I'm working with an agency, then they'll send it to the client who hasn't been working with me directly. And they'll be like, well, let's change some of this language. Then it will go to legal. It's like, you can't say that. And by the time it kind of gets back to me, it's unrecognizable. I can see it's been thrown into ChatGPT or Claude. And there's a lot of like emojis in it. I'm like, well, I didn't add them. And so it just feels like something that doesn't feel comfortable with me. I am all of the sketches you ever see that I make are things that have happened to me or things that I've observed. So if a brand wants me to create something that I haven't observed, it just never feels authentic to me, and I think my audience can spot it a mile off.
Okay. And wildcard final question. What would your wish for 2026 be?
I want to see more long-form branded content working with creators. I'm trying to do it with Friday Revival Club. And it's tricky trying to convince brands to put a bit more money in, but it's a lot of fun. I think that's the future, and that's my wish, is that we get there quicker, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just having these 10 to 30 minute episodes of a show like Chicken Shop Date, like Hot Wings, but for brands. I think a lot of brands have done really well on TikTok and LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is my second wish, actually. TikTok and Instagram. But I think it's to start experimenting now with long form and experimenting with YouTube a bit more.
Rob Mayhew, superstar legend, as always, thank you ever so much.